All right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are here in this country. I'm Wayne, coming all the way from the west coast of California.
Hey, and I'm calling down from the Gulf Coast in my Imago Day t-shirt, making it happen. And it's time for the one and only.
The Wayne Carlin Show. Let's go. Man, I noticed that my hair has changed a little bit from that picture we got posted on there. Not been able to see a barber in a while. Well, anyway, I want to welcome everybody to our show. We want to thank you
By the way,
guys.
you got a nice looking fro. The fro is together today. It's good,
Right,
man.
right,
You're all
right.
right. You're good.
We just want to thank everybody for allowing us the privilege of beaming our message right into your home. We want to take a moment to and do something that a lot of times we don't do because of our mad rush. Everything we do in our lives is breathe. Just take a minute, take a deep breath, and let it all out. Man, so much going on in our country. 2020 has been just a tumultuous year. We're not done yet, though, and we're still hopes that it's going to turn out for the better. So right now, Carla, what you got to let us know today?
Man, I want to sit in that minute of taking a deep breath, man, because it's just so chaotic out there. And besides what people do on social media, they get in fights, and social media can stress you out. And we got enough stress because we got all kinds of death taking place in our country. We got COVID death. We got cancer death. We got that it's just your time to go death. You know, we've had some very iconic figures die. You see that John Thompson, Georgetown coach, passed this past week. So we've just got a whole lot of death and bad things happening. And so we want to use the Wayne Carlin Show as really a chance for people to just change the rhythm of the day. Let's change the rhythm of the moment. And really, we want to try to inject some good. While we're covering a lot of bad stuff that's happening in our country, we want to try to inject some positivity, if that can happen, into our society. And so that's what the Wayne Carlin Show is about. So that's what we plan to do. So Wayne, go ahead and tell them what we got on tap for today.
Well, we are going to cover the stuff that's going on. We're going to cover the madness, as we were saying. As you should see, and most of you probably already know, we got major things going on across the country. Right now in Portland, we're in the 95th day of protesting and rioting going on. We also have the fallout from what's going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and the Jacob Blake shooting there. And if those two headlines weren't enough, and which have just been all in the news, we also have a new killing by law enforcement in Los Angeles. It just happened Monday. And then lastly, the horrendous weekend of violence that's been taking place in Chicago. So let's get started with what's going on in Portland.
All right. Portland, man, it's of course, Portland started out like most other cities in reaction to George Floyd. And so they've continually been having protests there. But they've kind of spiraled out of control. And basically everything that's happened around the country, it gets more amplified by the protests that they're having there in Portland. And so one of the things that happened on this past weekend is Portland was, they were talking about what the police officers are doing. I want to read this quote from one of the articles, and it says that by 11 p.m., the group was burning picnic tables and debris in the street as some set off fireworks. Police said people were seen vandalizing and even burglarizing a business, taking out furniture and throwing it in the fires on the street. Yet officers stayed back in an attempt to de-escalate. So Wayne, my question to you is, officers stayed back in an attempt to de-escalate. Is that a good thing? Is that really where we are? Is that what's up?
Wow. I mean, from my personal point of view and my days in law enforcement, I do not see that as a good thing to do or some type of de-escalation. We simply cannot allow lawlessness to flourish. We have to be willing to step up. Now, I'm definitely one to say we have to meter what we do as law enforcement. We've been seeing over the last couple of months, some people go way overboard, but letting people just pull furniture out of stores and set apartment buildings on fire and things like that. No, we cannot allow that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so that's just Portland, and like I said, this is their 95th straight day, and so I guess last night would be their 96th if they had the same thing going on 96. So and the question then begs itself is, well, so what is the solution if cops are drawing back? I mean, what is the solution? What do we do there? I mean, because President Trump previously was the one who sent in federal troops, and people were upset at him sending in federal troops. So if this continues to happen, what is our answer? What do we do? Is Trump right? Are these cops there right by de-escalating? What's the answer? What do you think?
But remember that, and I had a problem with him sending in federal troops and them doing what they were doing. If they're going in to assist and help out the local law enforcement by doing it and policing correctly, I think that could be a good idea. But if they're
Okay,
going in,
well, let's ask about that though, because you say if they send them in to assist, then that's one thing. But how do you assist people who are doing nothing? What's assist mean? If
well,
they're
yeah, obviously there has to be a better plan. So the Portland Police Department actually had a breakdown. And I read something else this morning where they actually someone requested assistance from some of the surrounding counties and the sheriffs, and the sheriff said no. So they got some problems going on there. They're not willing to help each other. That used to be a thing that all departments would do, assist other departments. Even here in my city, our local California Highway Patrol is now assisting the police department because they're understaffed. And so they're coming in. That's not unusual. But for them, the sheriffs to tell Portland PD, no, we're not going to help you. That's pretty deep right there. There's some stuff going on that's behind the scenes as well.
So you think there are people or parties out there who want to? Are they trying to make Portland look bad? Are they trying to force the president's hand? Or what do you think is going on there? I mean, because I'm trying to figure this out.
There may be a little bit of all that going on right now. The police chief there, a lady of color, at least she was. I don't know if she's still in charge. There was some issues with her. The governor, the Democratic-run cities, that people, trying to make this politicized and all that, instead of, looking at it as there's some people who are upset right now. They're upset with policing. They want change. They're upset with governing. But a lot of people want to go about it the correct way, which in my opinion is peaceful protest. But then there's others. There's always that fringe unit that wants to start trouble, and they wants to start something and wants to start riots. And that's what happens. We can call them anarchists. We can call them whatever. There's names from different organizations. But, we cannot allow that. We have to stop that so peaceful protesters can then do what they need to do.
Okay. All right. So that's Portland. Now let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to Wisconsin. And if you remember Wisconsin, of course, was the place where Kenosha, Wisconsin, was where Jacob Blake was shot and killed by police officers, 7 shots to the back. And so, of course, that became the city of eruption more than a week ago now. And then it was followed up by the murder by 2 other protesters by the young Kyle Rittenhouse. And he was seen there carrying his weapon. So that's the picture you see of him carrying a weapon. And so that's caused even more explosive issues to come up in that area. And so continued protests there. And so our latest developments, of course, include the fact that the governor and mayor of Wisconsin, the mayor of Kenosha and the governor of Wisconsin, did not want President Trump to come visit. And of course, President Trump visited on yesterday. I did see him sitting in a round table with some people there in the city, but I didn't hear much else about what happened yesterday. Do you have any other info on what happened on his visit yesterday to Kenosha, Wisconsin? I know he was there, but I haven't heard much about what happened there.
No, I saw a couple clashes between some militia people. Same militia group that came out a couple weeks ago and was on the news. They had a couple clashes with some other people, protesters, and unfortunately it turned into a race baiting type situation. It wasn't a good look, and it's out there on YouTube. One of the things that disturbs me though is with this Kyle Rittenhouse guy is many people are making him into a hero, and he's being now deemed as the hero of the far right or whatever they're called, alt right or whatever. Man, it just looks bad. You know, when he was walking toward the police with his hands up, and I remember one time he grabbed his weapon to adjust it, and then he put his hands back up. People are noticing that, and many people, and you and I even discussed it. Many people are saying, man, if he was African American or a man of African descent, when he touched that weapon, or would he even been able to approach the police like he did? And many people are saying, no way. And I tend to agree with that, you know. So we still have major problems in our policing. How we're going to fix it is important.
Yeah, and so when the Wisconsin, don't they have it? Is he not up on murder charges there?
Yeah, he was, you know, he fled back to his home state of Illinois. And so he was charged. Now, I don't know if he's been extradited yet. I know they were considering that, but he has been brought up on 2 charges, or well, two murder charges. So I don't know about that third charge. Maybe it was attempted. So we'll see what happens with that in the court of law. But of course, he's pleading self-defense. You know, he said he was being attacked. He was being chased. He had already shot somebody, and so the crowd was chasing him, no doubt about it. And then he shot 2 other people. So, but why were they chasing him? I don't think they were trying to hurt him. They were just trying to stop him and let police know who he was. So we're going to find out. This is going to be an interesting case to be played out in court.
And the other part about the is Wisconsin of Jacob Blake, of course, entails both parents. They've had gotten a lot of visibility on the news. And so you've seen the father who's made comments and the mother who's made comments. And I thought that here, because we, of course, erase the American Unity Movement, we like the unity that you find in all these circumstances. There's always a bright side. Some people don't like to see the bright side. I told a friend today, I said, you are one of those people who can pull a cloud out of every silver lining. You know, some people would prefer to look at the dark side, but I tell you what, if you saw the statements made by the mother of Jacob Blake, just great statements of unity, redemption, love, concern, and care for each other. And that's what we need. That's going to be the answer. People don't like hearing that when they're frustrated and they're mad about what happened, and people are living in their emotions. But I tell you what, if you're about solutions and making things work, then when you hear people like Jacob Blake's mom, Julia Jackson was her name, when you hear her make statements that she made, then you believe that there's some hope. You believe that there's some redemption in humanity, that people can actually do better and that we can become better. And so I think that's very positive. And so that's something else that's happening. One of the things that's happening in all these places, I think even in America, where you've got this core of hatred and animosity and division that's happening in our country, you've also got underneath that, or if you're looking hard enough, you're finding people who are out there caring, still in the midst of this, caring for people, loving people, and committed to being better themselves. And I think that's going to be the answer in our country. Yeah. So, all right. With that said, let's move on to, as I'm talking all this care and unity stuff, let's move on to our next chaotic city.
Yeah, it's out there though. We got to deal with it.
Yeah. And it's out there, and somebody's got to be an example to it. And so this is the case in Los Angeles that we referred to that recently took place over the past weekend of Dijon Kizzee, 29 years old. And he was reportedly shot and killed when deputies tried to stop him. And they said that it was a bicycle infraction. He was on a bicycle and they were stopping him for a bicycle infraction. Now, here's the part that really kills Americans. And that is some of these things what precipitates the killing. Like you remember Eric Garner back in I think it was Detroit, who was selling cigarettes, Michigan. New York City. When you're selling cigarettes, okay, all right, you're breaking the law. All right, you're breaking the law. So let's do whatever.
Single cigarettes, one at a time. Single cigarettes.
Yeah, so you're selling cigarettes. All right, so that's one thing. Whatever. So the things that precipitate it, all right, so they just are not things that people should be dying for. So everybody gets upset about that, regardless of what the law is. I mean, there are some things that you should die for. If you're hurting someone, harming someone, or whatever, yeah, you should do that. You should die for that. You know, if you have the capability, or if it looks like you are, or if you're about to, if you got a gun and you're about to do that, if you got a knife and you're about to do that, then yeah, there should be an instance where deadly force might be authorized. But this bicycle infraction. So the cops are stopping. I started thinking about some of the stuff that I've done, both on bicycle, in my car, not turning on my blinker. You know, that's not something to die over. That is something to give me a ticket over. Now, the next part of that is as me being the perpetrator, I need to know that too, that this is not that big a deal. And this is not something to die over. So if I get stopped for not putting on my blinker and I punch the cop, now I've turned in something that was ordinary into something that I could die for. And I shouldn't die over that. The cop should know I shouldn't die over that, but I shouldn't precipitate any action to die over that as well. So everybody's got a responsibility to understand. And that's why it's so important, I think, for us to take a breath and come back down to humanity and say, let's look at things in the right manner. Because I think cops have gone mad, people have gone mad, the country has gone mad. Somebody's got to bring back some sanity. All right, what do you think, Wayne?
Yeah, just taking what we're hearing right now at face value, that the Mr. Kizzy punched the police officer when it was two of them together. Okay, I kind of find it, a little stretch, but maybe he did. Let's just say he did, and then he took off running. Because the next thing they said is that when he dropped his bundle of clothing, they saw a gun in it. Could that have happened? Obviously, it could have. And maybe that's the reason he ran and didn't want to stop and talk to him, because if they found a gun on him, he would be arrested. Maybe he didn't want to be arrested. I find it another challenge that if I have a gun on me and I drop it and there's two police officers in front of me, that I'm now going to go down and reach for that thing. That would literally be suicide by cop. So I'm looking into all other issues going on in his life right now. Was he distraught? Because a right-thinking person is not going to reach for that gun. And sadly, there's been many incidents in the past where we've heard, even on video recently, where we heard, he's going for my gun, or gun, literally be suicide by cop. So and that gives reason, authority, or whatever you want to call it, to shoot somebody. So I'm going to kind of hold full judgment so far, because I need to see a little bit more information on that. Right now, all we have is what the police officers are saying it happened. And we have some sketchy video. Hopefully, they're going to find some more videos that come out that really show, did he really reach down to grab a weapon? Or was he just standing there and they saw something on the ground and then they lit him up? Because if they did, that's execution. Once again.
Well, and all these things, as these things get checked, it'll be the step by step. Because if you think about it, I was talking to my wife, the attorney, about this, and she said, "Yeah, but once he, even if the gun just fell out, then they don't have a reason to shoot him." Yeah. I said, "Well, yeah, but if you think about the other events that they're talking about, if he punched him in the face and he dropped that gun, then while he doesn't have that gun, I don't know that he doesn't have another gun. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know that he doesn't have another gun, which he might not. And if he's running away, of course, he's no threat. And I didn't see the video, but I'm trying to put myself in everybody's shoes. Right. I'm on a bicycle, why are you stopping me? Whatever. But I got a gun in there. I punch you in the face though. And like I said, so all these things have to be verified. So that's why I always say if, because we don't know. But if I punch that cop in the face, once I did that, I'm now, and it should be rightfully, and I think Americans need to know that if you punch an officer in the face, you now should be subject to such force that you could probably end up losing your life. And that's just me. I'm not law enforcement, but I'm saying this is where we are in our society. This is authority, and they're justifiable. There's justified authority, the fact that they have that badge. They can misuse their authority, and that often happens. As we've seen in some of these cases, they can misuse that. But there is still the ultimate respect that needs to be given for that position of authority. Punching an officer in their acting in their duties is a disrespect for that authority, and there should be some repercussions. Not necessarily always death, but you should understand that there could be.
Well, and that's why police officers carry other things like pepper spray, or they carry their asp or their clubs. So that would be the next level that they would go to before going to deadly force. Now, if you got somebody's down on the ground, officer, and he's just being pummeled and he can't get to any of those things, then absolutely you can go to deadly force, because that pummeling eventually could lead to death, or that person taking your weapon from you and shooting you with it. So at that point, but one punch in the face, no, that doesn't meet the level of deadly force, especially if there's two officers there. They got to fight. They got to just put their hands on somebody and learn how to fight again. You know,
That's a new slogan for Donald Trump. Learn how to fight again, huh?
there you
Make
go.
make police officers fight again
My goodness, come on.
rather than shooting. So, all right. All right, so now let's go to our next city. So we're moving on from Los Angeles. I guess we should have done this as a map. We should have shown the map. All right, where are we going across the country? Let's go. Our next city is Chicago. All right, Chicago, and we're covering, and this is one of the sad things about when we cover Chicago, we're covering routine happenings. All right, and so this is the thing. We're covering routine happenings because in Chicago, this is kind of what's been going on every weekend. The numbers change somewhat, but this is happening every weekend. In addition to this, I heard this week, and it hadn't been verified, but they said that there's a pact that's been struck between the gangs in Chicago that if a police officer points a weapon or pulls out a weapon towards any gang member, then all the gangs have now made a pact to kill that police officer. If they so much as draw a weapon. Now I haven't verified that, but I heard that on the radio yesterday that said it's a pact being made between the gang members to kill any police officer who draws a weapon on a gang member. What does that mean? You know what that says in our society? You know what that says? In this past weekend in Chicago, where 54 people were shot and 10 killed, and preponderance of those were gang killings, it means that they now have the American people, or I wouldn't say the American people, but the city of Chicago and the people thinking it's a good thing. Yeah, they're going to shoot police officers or whatever. But then it means the gangs now have free reign to do whatever they want. And these numbers that we're seeing now, 54 shot, 10 killed, that number will go up unimpeded if you don't have police officers or law enforcement who are willing to stop it because they don't want to get shot by gang members, because if you think about it, in Chicago, there are probably more gang members than there are police officers. And so this is some very deep stuff. And that's why when disrespect for authority is a huge thing and it carries implications way beyond the singular incident. And in our society, I think we got to understand that. And that by no means gives police officers a pass on proper use of authority. That's always got to happen. You know me, Wayne, that's why I always talk about accountability and why police chiefs and mayors got to hold people accountable, because those officers have been given special privileges as officers. And, they've been given the people respect that. But when you disavow that, when you make a mistake or do something that you shouldn't have done as a police officer, you should be held accountable. And that's what we got to do in our society. But we can't take away that authority that they have as police officers. Otherwise, these gangs will run rampant.
Yeah, I can't imagine what the mayor, what she's feeling right now in Chicago, with the chief of police or the commissioner. I'm not sure what they call him there. I just can't imagine what they're feeling right now, knowing and believing that they took that job on the promise that they would improve the city, that they would make it better. And it just seems like there's people there who are just out of control. If that is true and the gangs have declared war on the police department, they've always obviously been at odds, but they've pretty much done their thing in their own areas and try to stay in the shadows, I believe. But if you're declaring war on the police department, I mean, that's taking things to a whole nother level. Now, that reminds me of a movie way back, and it was called, was it not Gangs of New York? That's a different movie. Oh my gosh. I can't think of it, but basically the gangs that took over New York City, and they had enclosed them into a small area because they couldn't handle them anymore. And, we definitely don't want to get to that level in our society.
It wasn't your what was Warriors? That was your West Coast movie, Warriors. Remember that?
Yeah, no, that was New York too. That was New York City.
That was New York too.
Yeah.
Okay, Warriors.
Warriors. Yeah, I remember that movie. That was a good one too.
That was
good.
we
something obviously has to be done, and somebody needs to take control of this. What's going on in the neighborhoods where people are getting killed way too often. It seems like it's happening on the weekends. Why is it always on the weekends? So I don't have the answer, man, other than getting all the guns off the street and basically enacting some kind of law which says you can apprehend known gang members, but you have rights too. Citizens have rights, so you don't want to infringe on those. So I don't have the answer. I guess that's why I'm not the police chief or the mayor.
I got a few of them. I got a few answers. None of them might work, but I got a few. But I think the biggest one is that we've got to engage on a human level, and that is we've got to get out of this them versus us mentality, which makes us side with people automatically because they're either of this color, of this group, or whatever. And we've got to deal on a human level because I think we all want the same solution. I think when we characterize people as being so different, then we believe that they don't have the same objectives as we had. Like, you'll take what a quote unquote Black American and a white American, and they act as though we have different objectives and aims in this country, and we don't. I don't think we do. I think what we got to understand is we've got to invest in relationships to the extent that we begin to understand that I want to walk in fellowship with you just like you want to walk in fellowship with me. Now, the sad thing is, because what race has done and because of this, people don't want to walk in fellowship with the other kind because they believe that those people disagree with them on the basics of what's happening in America. And at the end of the day, I think we all really want a better America. We want to live in harmony. We want to have our house, our homes, our families, our neighbors, and we want a better society. But all these things make us see only the disagreement that we have towards each other. And so we can't live in that harmony. And so I think I have a friend in Kim in Atlanta who always says, my answer is always first. It's really simple. The answer is simple, but doing it is hard. Right. Because that's true. The answer is simple. We got to love and care, but the answer is hard because it's hard to do that. Yeah. So as we transition here, as we get ready to close out a show, how can you be part of the solution? Here's one. And this is a new movement that we've got here with the race. I haven't even talked to my boy Wayne about it, but here's what we're going to do. And we don't have the format. We don't have the date yet, but we're going to implement a solution summit. And just like we've been spending time and everybody's been connecting, that's one of the beautiful things about COVID is that we've had the capability now to hook up with people around the country and around the world in a whole lot easier format more quickly. Because before COVID, nobody knew everything about Zoom and all of these other applications that would allow you to do that. But now we can. And so we can collect in large groups and not transmit COVID or anything else. And we can have thought connections and we can do some positive things together. And so what we're going to do at Erase Race American Unity Movement, we're going to convene a solution summit. As you can see there, the date is to be determined. But if you got ideas, if you got resources, you got connections, you got a heart for unity. And then if you've got time, bring your ideas and we're going to come up with some solutions because we think we are the people who with the answers. We are those who care, because I tell you what, when I give this invitation out to all the people that I'll give it out, everybody's not going to come. Some people don't care about solutions. Some people won't care about doing things better. But for those who do, we're going to be the world changers. We're going to be the country changers. We're going to be the people who make a difference. So I'm not upset at people who don't want to, like, even when I do my Race American Unity Movement, people say, man, you're crazy. That stuff can't happen. They're like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And I go, all right, I thank you for your time. And I keep moving. It's like the encyclopedia, the insurance salesman. Okay, well, thank you. And you move on to the next call, So that's what we're trying to do here. And I think at the end of the day, the people who care will make a difference in our country. And so that's kind of where we are. Okay.
Yeah, this is good because, same thing. I get people saying, okay, you race, then what? What's the follow-up? What's the end game? So this is good. We need to have this so we can actually come up with some ideas and solutions to move beyond where we are right now. So, all right, man, this is good. Just want to remind you guys, we definitely need your support. We're looking for monthly contributors who would just be willing to give $1 a month, or $10 a month, whatever you're able to give. We appreciate it. Don't forget, go to our store. You see, we got nice shirts there. We got masks. We got hoodies. We got all kinds of stuff that you can buy, and that would help support what we're doing. And we also need volunteers. So if you're willing and able and you want to volunteer because you like the direction that we're trying to go in the country, just come on board with us. We definitely can use your help. So thanks for being with us today. We appreciate you. We have answers. And this has been the Wayne Carlin Show.
We're out. See you, Sierra, and all the other guests out there. Put some lyrics since we don't have daylight raps. We're gonna have to put some lyrics to this.
Yeah, she been busy.
All right. Cool. Yep, glad we didn't have that video, man. That made it.
We
made
still
it
live
cool.
on Facebook.
Oh. I said stop the stream. I said stop the stream, and then